Have a catch up? Oh, okay.
Hey.
Final answer.
We're coming in like mid-conversation here,
Yeah, we were talking really hot, and we're like, hey, we got to record this.
just in case.
And we're talking about our children and the whining.
Mm-hmm.
So my 5-year-old, he is just to the point now where he like almost doesn't need a nap. But it's the cutoff of like so cranky all the time and like refuses to take a nap. But at the second we were in the car for literally 3 minutes.
Passed out.
Passed out. And like and I'm like, obviously, yes, that makes sense. You needed this nap today. But no. Now if you try to make him lay down, no.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is your middle?
This is my middle. My 5-year-old who's just outgrowing a nap.
This was great for us for like pre-K purposes this year because we'd have to go pick up Gus, and so it's like an hour in the car for us, and so sometimes he'd fall asleep for like 30, 45 minutes of that time, and I'm like, perfect. That's exactly the amount of time you need to be a little refreshed.
Yep.
Without being like taking a 2-hour nap and then not going to bed at night.
Yep.
And that's what I try telling him. If you take a nap, you'll feel a little better. And he won't believe me. But then once he kind of gets himself by himself and his brother isn't annoying him, maybe he'll pass out. But he's been really clingy lately.
Really?
He's been climbing in my bed. And I don't know how to cut that off because I wake up and I've got the worst neck pain.
Yeah.
This is my oldest. And I'm like, oh my God. How do I...
You just take him back to bed.
I try, but he throws a fit.
I don't know.
And I'm like, oh, I don't want to fight you.
Yeah. I mean, it could just be a stage, you know.
I looked it up, and I guess 3-year-olds have sleep regression.
Yes. And that's, I've done that before too. Like right at 18 months, Anders was a bear. I'd pick him up from childcare and he would cry from like 4:30 p.m. to like the time Craig came home to like 7 p.m. and just cry and cry and cry. And apparently that's really common for like 18 months to have like a crying stage regression. And
It's frustrating.
But look up Wonder Weeks. You guys
I've
heard of
totally
those?
heard of that, yes.
Yes.
They like map it all out for you.
So
Is this an app?
no,
It's just like a program. It's like I don't want to say program, but
it's like a website.
Yeah.
Google.
Do you have to
can
pay
Google
for it?
no. It's just like, it's
It's a
literally
simple
like a
Google search.
spreadsheet almost of like, between this age and this age, they do this type of regression. Between this age and this age, they do this. Between this age and this age, they do this. Watch out for this at this age and this age. Blah, 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 blah. Like, it's literally just...
It
And
was
I feel
really
like-
helpful when I had like little infants. It's like, oh, okay, 6 weeks. Oh, okay, that makes sense. That we're like transitioning. We need to feed them more because
Yeah.
their stomach got bigger or something. You know what I mean?
I didn't notice with the feeding, but for the sleep, like if I would be able to get them in the crib nicely, and then the second I couldn't, I was like, oh, they're going through a sleep regression.
Yep.
And it's weird because every little thing that they've learned from an infant and they can't sleep is because they did something new that day.
Yep.
Whether it could like be spitting their
Yeah,
bubbles.
it's just all
Yep.
like growing.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you rolled over? Great.
Yeah.
not sleep for the
At,
next
at
6
that time, like,
weeks.
oh, you rolled, but yeah, now I'm not going to get any sleep because
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's essentially that. It's
Yes.
like, that's exactly what the Wonder Weeks
Brain
are. Is
development.
like
Yeah, it's brain
explaining.
development stages.
Okay.
It's like a cracking the code to your child.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I looked up like sleep programs. Like, why isn't however old he was at the time, not sleeping? And they're like, oh, to figure out, you have to pay us $59.
No, that's malarkey.
And I'm like, never mind.
That's malarkey.
But yeah, I think this program is helping me. And then at the end, they're like, oh, pay for this. And then we'll tell you what's wrong.
I definitely bought a book. I think it was called The No Cry Sleep Solution. Because Gus was so... I held him exclusively
Yeah.
24/7 for the first year.
Yeah.
Like, there was not a time.
Yeah.
And if he
Really?
was, like, put down, immediately crying. Dead asleep, immediately crying. Like, oh, it was bad.
Yeah.
So I bought that book, and it did help. Like, I did learn some stuff, but, oh, Lord, it do.
Yeah.
Rough.
It was rough. That was a rough one.
And then we were talking about daycare, different kinds of daycare and things like that. And I don't know if you want to tell that about the TikTok you saw.
So I saw a TikTok, and I should probably give his username so people can kind of watch, because he has a bunch of stitches that people are kind of doing with, and I love hearing these stories. His TikTok name is Gingy, Gingy. And he says, why are you having kids if you don't want to parent your kids? And he was saying how at their daycare, they were open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and parents would leave them there all day. And then when they'd come pick up their kids, they'd be like, well, do you guys do overnight daycare? He'd be like, no, we don't. So, and then he would say that parents would get mad, like, why aren't you open on the weekends? Why aren't you open on the holidays? Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy. And then even if they weren't open on the weekends, they would hear that, oh, the grandparents had the kids on the weekend. And in my day, back when I was a kid, going to a grandparent's house would be like a treat. Mm-hmm. It was never treated like a babysitter, really.
Yep.
Although my grandparents didn't live close enough for us to like have a babysitter situation.
My grandparents were older back in
Yeah.
so like they really couldn't like
My grandparents were always elderly.
yes,
Like they were never young.
white
fun.
haired,
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My Grammy had one of my Grammys had cancer, so it was hard to like usually once we got to the point where we were seeing her all the time, it was because my mom was like helping take care of her. So that's I don't know. It was never that. We were a little bit older and like we would stay with my mom or my dad's parents for like a week in the summer. But I mean that was just like I don't know.
As someone who
It wasn't really a daycare situation.
Yeah. As someone who uses childcare a lot of different ways of childcare, I still always try to use it the least amount possible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I hate asking my mom to watch the kids. I feel so guilty.
Yes.
Because I don't want it to be a chore. I want my mom to enjoy spending time with them. I want my kids to enjoy spending time with them.
Yeah.
So frequently now, my kids will be like, I want to go to grandma's house. Like, I want to hang out with grandma. I want to eat with grandma tonight or, whatever.
Yeah. Like a treat,
Yeah.
basically.
They like, I want them to want to spend time together.
Yeah.
Not just go to grandma's because
I've got stuff to do.
I got stuff to do.
Bye.
Yeah.
Like,
More like not even stuff to do, a life to live.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's what these parents are doing is they're just like literally just pretending they don't have kids.
Yeah.
From the hours of 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I feel so bad if my kids are like one of the last ones to get picked up too. Because it's like, oh, I just
they're
remember
talking
that.
shit.
Yeah.
Daycare people.
There's no way to avoid that.
Right. And yeah, because there's 2 days this month that the daycare closes at 6, and there's 2 days this month that they'll have to stay there till 5:30. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I promise we won't forget about you.
Because they hear it.
Yeah.
They're like, Mom.
Yeah. But we have a lot of in-home care too. So like nannies will come over to our house and watch. And yeah, I just try to use everybody the least amount of possible. Even though I'm paying these people, I still feel terrible asking.
I know.
Like I
Yeah.
just don't want to inconvenience anybody.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I know we're all going to say our kids are great, but like, since are your kids full-time then?
Full-time at daycare?
Yeah.
No, they are drop-in. So they go to an actual daycare center about 2 days a week, 1 to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
And then we have someone in our house the rest of it's usually just the mornings. What they do is they stay from 7:30 to like 1, and then they put Anders to sleep, and then the boys watch TV, and I go back to sleep.
Nice.
So it's not a perfect solution, but
works.
it works for us right now. And I'm usually downstairs. They're maybe alone by themselves for a half an hour between the time that Anders falls asleep and I go downstairs for food.
Yeah.
So I'm usually awake during that time anyway.
And do you think people are like, oh, yeah, Calissa, your kids are amazing. They're great. Like, no issues.
No.
No? Or maybe are they just used to them or something?
Yes. And my boys fight constantly all the time. They just, it doesn't get better, you guys. They just fight all the time. And Carver did this. And Craig and I are just like in this stage of parenting where we just feel like referees.
We're talking a lot with our kids right now about tattletaling.
Oh
Because
my
it's constantly
God.
them just like, Gus did this, Bronson did this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, first of all, you're not daddy. Daddy is there. I am mommy. Not your job to police that. If someone's being hurt, that's a different situation. But
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you to tell me that, like, oh, Bronson wiped a booger on the couch. Like, I don't need you to tell me that stuff. Just like figure it out.
Yes.
That here's my issue with that is like, again, I say go solve your own problems, right? To
And
that
then they
defense. But then
punching each other.
yesterday, Gannon literally sprayed Carver in the face with a hose and soaked the entire porch with a hose and soaked the leaf blower with a hose.
Nice.
And I was like, that's something I want to be aware of. So where's the line?
Well,
Of like, don't tell me solve your own problems, but also like Anders is throwing rocks in the pool. Like, why? I want to know about that. Anders is coloring on the floor with a purple marker. I need to know about this.
He
But
jumped in a puddle and got his whole body
but I
full
feel
of
like
blood.
I try not to like make that my whichever other kid's like problem though.
yes.
Even though I want to know, I feel like that, okay, maybe I should have been like more present.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's, I feel like that's like, okay, we're all get it together, you know?
If it's
I don't
between
know.
you two, fine. But
Yes.
if it's mommy and daddy stuff or someone is bleeding,
Yep.
Like destruction of property is
Yeah.
not okay.
yes.
Yeah.
No, but the reason why I asked that, like, because these people that are on TikTok, they're like, yeah, all these kids that are here full time, they are the worst behaved kids. They're biters. They are hitters.
Okay, in those terms, I'm looking at my children like they are not perfect.
Yeah.
No,
but,
no.
But in terms of are they, they're very well behaved at daycare. So I got a message the other day that they're like, yeah, we don't mind having them at all.
That's
They're-
perfect. Yeah.
But if you can't expect a child that's being raised by someone else, total strangers. I mean, I don't know who's watching my kids when they go to the daycare center. They've got high school help. They've got,
Right.
I don't personally know these people aside from hi, here, thank you for my child and goodbye. I trust the center
Right.
as a whole to hire good
Trustworthy people, yeah.
trustworthy people, but do I actually know them? That sounds really bad, but I don't.
Yeah. And I think it's hard
Doesn't
too,
it though?
like-
I leave my kids with total strangers, trusting that the entity that they work for is making sure they're good people.
But
Well,
to
I
work
think-
for a daycare, you have to have all these certifications. You have to be CPR. You have to.
I think sometimes the hardest part for kids is like going between places is having different rules. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of talking about this before Calissa got here, but I was kind
Home
of saying,
rules?
yeah, home rules are different than like if we go to a restaurant or like if we go to someone else's house or if we go to the daycare center, like, if at my mom's house, maybe things are different. Like, I think that is really difficult. Because we can't even, as adults, adhere to everyone's rules perfectly all the time. So then for kids to try, whew,
yeah.
that's tough.
Yeah.
So I think if they don't have the structure at home or like the proper rules at home, and then they go somewhere and like, things are just willy-nilly, maybe they don't have as much one-on-one attention to be able to like know the rules and, whatever. I think that
And sometimes
that
I
could cause
feel
problems.
bad because I'm like, I feel like I'm too strict on the kids.
Yeah,
but
me too.
when we go out to restaurants, they sit and they're how we eat at home is how we eat at the restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
And when Cutter, my oldest, gets a little, he acts up a little bit, I'll be like, look around and see that everyone is eating. No one is, throwing chips on the booth or whatever.
my kids are not perfect, but we do get compliments that our kids are like well-behaved
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
most part in
I
public.
think I got a compliment with you from a waiter, and then I've gotten compliments too, like from other restauranters that are going to eat. They'd come over, your kids were so good. I barely heard, even on the airplane.
Yeah.
They came over and like, I was a little nervous when I saw you with you and your kids, but I didn't hear anything from them.
Yeah.
They were totally fine. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
you think I want to hear that? No.
Yeah.
But it makes you nervous as a parent, like, oh God, please don't cry and like make
Stressful.
everyone hate us.
Right.
Because I don't want to hear it either.
The worst, I may have told the story on the podcast. We waited for an hour and 15 minutes for our food.
I think you did tell us about this.
I don't know if I told you guys specifically.
I think
but
so. I think
it
I remember
was-
you saying this.
And an older couple came over to us and said, I really hope you guys get your food soon.
Oh my.
Because the boys were behaving so badly.
Well, that's kind of nice from them. It's,
It was like, yep, that just confirmed everything in my head. And
But
you
I
just look
appreciate
around
the
the
old people
restaurant
that
and
get
people would
it.
just be like,
I know. When I see a kid act up a little bit, I just kind of feel bad. Like, oh God.
Yeah, there's a difference between like a child being a child and like
I mean,
someone
and-
who's clearly not disciplined.
Yes.
Remember when we were at Applebee's, Sarah?
Oh my gosh, I almost pooped my pants that day. It was
Me and
so
Sarah,
ugh.
we went out to eat at Applebee's, and
It was like after a movie, I think, or
Yeah,
something. So it was in the evening. It was like
Yes.
later in the evening.
it was like 9 p.m.
yeah, it was late for
Yes.
kids.
But Applebee's has half off appetizers after 9. So I'm like, want to get some wonton tacos?
yes, and I had nachos and they were delicious.
Yes, but Sarah, her back was facing
Like a booth.
toddler
Yeah, that had a mom and a toddler on
and
one
a
side
teenage
and then like
son.
yeah.
And this little toddler girl, she was climbing all over the booth, almost kicked Sarah in the head.
Yep.
A couple times. I mean,
Yeah, she was like trying to talk to me, which that's fine. She was trying to talk to me like over the booth, and she was like flinging her arms and like flinging her legs and like kicking her legs up on the back of the booth.
standing on the table, like she was all over the place.
And
And, the
then
mom,
yeah.
you know, I was like, oh my God, I'd be freaking out. I'm like, sit down and look, you know.
She did nothing.
She sat on her phone.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then this girl, I don't know if
You
it was
guys
her
are making
plate
me
or-
feel really good this morning.
She like hit this little girl like hit her plate really hard. I think it was an accident, but I was like,
I
it like
know.
scared me because my back was to her, so I didn't see it coming or anything. And I just
she
am a
was
freak and I
just,
have a crazy reflex.
throwing dishes
but
everywhere. Like she was kind of crazy.
She was crazy.
But the fact the mom just sat,
Did nothing. There
sat
was
on her
no
phone,
discipline.
and then I think once we heard that
There was
loud
one
sound,
time.
she was like, sit down, and that was it.
That was the only time.
And then, so after me and Sarah got done eating, I was on our hometown's like gossip page.
It was like a rant and rave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And someone made a whole post about that little girl.
Mm-hmm.
I was just at Applebee's, and the fact that some parents don't even bother to parent their kid and their
Yes.
little girl. I mean, he was bitching about this little girl.
Which, to be fair, she was really loud. She was very like destructive.
Very.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Yeah.
And then the fact that there was another restaurant goer, and then he bitched about it
yeah,
online to our hometown. I'm like, oh.
I was like, I wanted to comment and be like, we were sitting right there. It was so weird. It was so awkward.
I can't believe you were there too.
I concur.
Yeah.
But so there's that behavior from kids that I think most people kind of expect, and they expect the parent to do something, and I do too. Mm-hmm. But so then it's that fine line, like, okay, your daughter's probably acting like this because it's probably bedtime. Mm-hmm. I don't know what her situation was,
Yeah,
but
for sure. Like maybe they went to the same movie. I think we went to the Barbie movie or something. So maybe they were at the same movie.
possibly.
Right? Wasn't it Barbie?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
But yes, so it's always like I always think about that too. I always I try not to blame. You don't want to blame the child, but like
Yeah.
I don't even know how to like the child or a routine. Because my kids like structure.
Kids, it's been proven scientifically that kids thrive on structure. I'm not saying that you need to be like militant, but to have like a regular routine and schedule is not a bad thing. What?
Mom fail.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, when we have, so my schedule is so different
Yeah.
during the
Yes.
summer.
Yeah.
The kids are with, they either go, like I said, go to daycare, or they go have someone in our house, or I'm home.
But is it the same person at your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, this is a new person. Like,
Right.
You're not introducing a new
Right.
person, new babysitter, new nanny every single week or.
Right. But there
So that's
definitely
consistent.
isn't any structure. The people are similar, or you
They're
know what I
consistent,
mean.
and yeah.
But like as far as we do this at this time, we do this at this time, like there's none of that.
I feel
You're not like having lunch at the same time every day. You're not like having dinner. Really?
No, I mean,
my
like,
gosh, that's
especially with
crazy.
all baseball games going on right
Oh,
now, it's
true.
crazy. Carver has between practices and games, he has 4 things that he needs to be at next week, 4 different events that he has to go to, and they all take place at night. So, like, we're eating concession stand food, we're bedtimes. They went to bed at like 9:30 last night, and
my
then
gosh.
yeah,
Were they
I
acting
mean,
up or no? Not too bad.
well, we'll see how they do today. But yes, they were at bedtime. I don't know how many times I had to go in and yell at them. And it's like, now you guys are like, this is a good conversation because it's like, maybe I need to give my kids some grace because they have just been exceptionally dysregulated this past week, and now I'm sitting here thinking, okay, maybe there's a reason why. Maybe we do need some more structure. Maybe we do need some more stricter bedtime rules, or keep some things consistent, some things the same on time, or make them aware.
But then at the same time, I'm like, maybe I should try to relax a little bit, especially during summertime, because in the wintertime it's easy to like, oh, bed at 8 because it's dark.
Yeah.
And then now it's light.
Relaxing for us is like maybe an extra half an hour.
Yeah.
So usually our bedtime is like, okay, I need you to be in bed by 7:30. Now it's like, okay, let's go watch Bob's in bed until 8, and then it's bedtime.
Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Again, with the Bob's Burgers.
Yes.
Such a
gotta
good
And
watch
now, because Gus now will ask, and he's like, can we go watch Bob's in bed? I'm like, yeah, make sure you get your Jamie's on, teeth brush, all that kind of stuff first, and then we'll go watch an episode in bed.
Yep,
So,
but
you know,
it's
like
like a
that's like
treat.
half an hour.
Yeah.
And that's just in the summer. Usually, like if we're watching TV before bed kind of thing, and during the school year, it's like, okay, let's go watch a Jesus story or something. And like 15 minutes, 5 minutes, like that's it. Bedtime. So,
yeah, I
don't
always feel
know.
bad because like all the fun stuff are in summers and they're late, and I'm just so over here like, oh God, but bedtime's at 8.
I know we choose to do a lot. We choose to not do a lot of things in the evenings specifically because of bedtime.
But it's hard because
Yeah.
everything happens in the evening.
I know.
So like when our kids are older, like I'd like them to do a baseball game, but then I keep seeing TikToks of baseball parents and baseball drama, or just like sports drama in general, because it's gotten crazy.
Yeah, we pick and choose for sure.
Yeah.
Calvin just signed our kids up for a wrestling thing.
Oh boy.
I'm not like super excited about it. I've heard good things, but I'm just not. Oof.
Do you guys do T-ball or anything like that?
My kids refuse. I really want them to do like soccer or something, or baseball. Gus would be really good at baseball, but they're just not into it.
Yeah.
So I might just sign him up one year and force him to do it.
That's what I did with Gannon this year. He is not loving it.
Are you gonna?
I think trying when they're young is okay, because at least then you
Yes.
can see if you like it.
Yeah.
And it's not pressure. You know,
Yeah.
there's no pressure to it. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know,
know.
my mom always, she told me, and she still tells me now, she's like, no, I didn't want you to deal with that stuff, like all that different kind of pressure that you're feeling. And yeah, as you get older, you kind of like, no, I want to try this out. Like you kind of have that mindset, like, no, I really want to try this.
Yeah.
Because I think she tried with my brothers, and they hated that. They hated this. They hated that.
Yeah.
And she's
I
like,
feel bad saying that because my mom forced my sister to do t-ball for 1 year, and then she tried to force me to do it, and I said, absolutely not. I will not go. I will not participate. And then she was like, okay. So my sister used to tease me about that because
Yeah.
she's like, I always had to do this stuff, and I got forced, and you didn't have to. And now here I am sitting like, yeah, I'm going to make them go. So, yeah.
There is some controversy around like travel ball
yes.
And
And,
travel
like,
sports in general.
travel sports in general.
Yes.
And like,
And divorce rates have gone up because of it.
you think so?
Really?
How can they prove
I'm just reading the comments of like
Yeah.
what I pack for my going away game, and I'll read the comments, and yeah, people will get a divorce over this stuff because it's a lot of money to travel,
Yeah.
and then like where do we spend money on a hotel? Where do we stay? And then the financial pressure.
Well, and
gets
you're
to-
gone for the entire day. You have to eat out somewhere at some
Yes.
point in time.
so you're spending so much money,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, I have nephews that were travel football people. And my niece in that same family did travel volleyball. And it's a lot. It
Yeah.
is, but they're like a sports family. So I don't think it's like pressure for them. They grew up like, they're a legacy family. So like their parents grew up doing it, their parents type of thing. So I don't think it's as much pressure, but I do see
do you
like
think
how
they'd
stressful
be
it could be. for
looked down
sure.
upon if they didn't do that? Like, oh well, your grandpa.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
There's that pressure. Like,
Yeah.
well, your great grandpa did
Yeah.
this, and he, I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Even like with colleges, they're like a legacy college family. And so if they choose, these younger two now choose to go somewhere else, I think it would maybe be weird. People would like, I don't know if people would think things, but I think maybe people would comment, just be like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't like go to this place, or like, I don't know.
Because
So,
your dad did this, or
Yeah,
your mom went
exactly.
there. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just reading the comments of like, I didn't realize how much kind of drama is behind the scenes of the parents, and
Oh, yeah. Because especially moms, I feel like, are so drama.
Yeah. Well,
the
and I
time.
just, I wonder how much of it is the kid's choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure they want to play, and I'm sure that's fun, but how much of it is like,
How much is it fun, or is it like?
They're sitting on like a professional schedule.
well, and
As,
then
like
these
10-year-olds.
like I listened to one podcast and they were talking about how an orthopedic surgeon came on the podcast and was talking about how these children have like the
Stunt.
arm of like a 40-year-old, the shoulder of like a 45-year-old pitcher
Oh no.
in the major leagues because they've like literally just done so much repetitive movement and repetitive damage to their shoulder or to their knees or things like that. These like significant life-altering
Even
injuries
in-
are happening younger and younger and younger.
Those poor kids.
Even
Yeah.
in like, sorry to say about wrestling too, because they want these kids to cut weight, and I'm like, they should not be cutting weight. But the fact that they're like in pee-wee wrestling and they want them to cut weight, like that's
Absolutely not.
it. So you can see a wrestler, like, oh, I can tell you're a wrestler because you have that build, you have that stance, like you've been, what do they call it? You know, you're stunting.
Oh, they're
when
stunting
people stunt their growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in kids, I can tell, like, I can tell you wrestle.
Yeah, I will never allow that to happen.
Yeah, but like that's how crazy it has been forever. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
Yeah.
just,
In high school, I remember all the wrestlers like cutting weight and stuff. They would just look sickly and gross.
I know.
Yeah.
And
it'd
it's
be
like, how
gross.
can you? I always think of Taylor Swift. She had an eating disorder when she was on the 1989 tour.
really?
And
I remember
she,
hearing about that.
she said she thought it was totally normal to feel like she was going to pass out after a show.
Oh.
And like feeling like very weak and very all of these things. And if you watch her stamina, as far as even just her voice goes, between the 1989 tour and then like the Eras tour now when she's like healthy and recovered, it's crazy the difference in just like how can you be at your best physical physical fighting condition when you're haven't ate anything in 3 days.
Yeah.
And you know what I think is even crazier, especially, and I mean this also in terms of like MMA, boxing, all those types of things. They have weigh-in, let's say, I don't remember if it's a couple days before or the night before or whatever, but then they go and they eat copious amounts of food
yeah.
and gain so much weight back. So like, what is the point?
What is the point?
Tell me what the point is, because if you're making weight just to go and eat a ton of food afterwards, like why
That's
are we doing
definitely a
this?
treat for them.
Yeah, why are we cutting weight like that?
I
Like,
remember
please just
Nick
be
used
in
to
your
do
actual
that.
weight class. I think that's so stupid.
Yeah. Be
think
the
it's so
weight that
stupid.
you are. I don't
Yep.
understand. I guess I've never understood wrestling very much. And I've just not, I don't have any wrestlers in my family. So I just have seen it from the outside. And I just don't understand, like, why don't you just like go step on a scale that day and be like, okay, you're 145 today. You're going to wrestle against someone else that's 145.
Yes.
Like,
Exactly.
doesn't that make the
My
most sense?
nephew does wrestling, and I'm hoping so hard that he doesn't ever. So I mean, like last time I saw him, he's been like lifting a lot and whatever. And he's like, yeah, I gained 30 pounds since you last saw me. And I'm like,
Lordy.
yeah, you're a big boy.
Yeah.
And guys can just gain that so fast.
But
Pisses me off.
if a girl was doing this, say she had to cut weight for gymnastics, like, and she wasn't eating for days
That's an
at
eating
a time.
disorder, but it's not the same for a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double standard.
Which actually, speaking of, I've heard this from many older wrestlers now who previously were like state wrestlers, college wrestlers, whatever. They are so obese in adulthood.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're so like psychologically
You
messed
can,
up
like an
from
athlete,
Yeah, you
a
get
guy who
messed
was
up
an
from
athlete back in the day, and yeah, they're usually pretty overweight because they pulled something or
they get messed up mentally about the like restrictive eating and whatever from when they were children. So they're
bad
like,
food
I'm never
relationship.
restricting food again. I'm just gonna go ham all the time.
Yeah.
So
Oh, this brings up another topic. How do you guys feel about locks on cupboards? Like locking up food? Have you guys seen that TikTok?
abusive. Oh,
Did I say TikTok? TikTok. Did you see that TikTok?
I'm probably gonna get slammed, but I think it depends on the scenario.
I would
it's
agree.
weird.
I would agree. So there was a mom who was showing how she locks her pantry up and how there's only food allowed available during certain times of the day. We struggle with that at our house because the boys constantly want to eat all of the time.
Yep.
And then Anders always goes in the cupboard. So we have like child safety locks on our pantry because otherwise Anders would go in there and like literally crush all the Pop-Tarts into shreds.
Yeah.
But I just saw that TikTok and the mom is getting crucified online. With
I
all of them.
disagree with that.
Go ahead. What's
Just
your
like
take?
well, I don't want to say we're strict about food, but our meal times are at relatively the same time every day. And if you're coming to me, we usually, like, let's say we eat dinner, like when we're not at jujitsu at like 5:30. If you're coming to me at 4 o'clock and you're asking for a snack, I'm going to be like, hell no. Dinner is in an hour. Suffer for an hour and then do a good job eating your dinner. And then you can have a snack if you're still hungry when you're done.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's totally fair. I'm not going to feed you a snack for you then to you turn around and be full and not eat dinner.
Yes.
And then you're going to come to me at bedtime and be like, I'm hungry. I'm like, well, I guess have another snack. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm not doing that.
Yes. No, I do
That's
that.
crazy.
That's like the definition of how our house is.
Yeah.
Except the opposite.
There's
So
room
they
for
come
2
to me an
snacks in a
hour
day.
before and they're so whiny that I
Yes.
just can't take it. I'm like,
Yeah.
just have a fucking bowl of cereal.
Which then
and then I wonder why they don't eat any supper.
Which then I have a specific tray set out on our hutch, and it has fruit snacks, and it has beef sticks, and it has granola bars. And so those are approved snacks that you can have during snack time. So you have snack time, let's say like 10:30 between breakfast and lunch.
It would be gone.
And you have one snack between lunch and dinner.
Your snack tray would be gone by 8 a.m.
No. No.
Wow.
I say no.
I wish I could be more like you. But my kids constantly eat.
But
Well, I
Calissa-
want my kids to know what it feels like to be full.
Yeah.
And I want them to know what it feels like to be hungry.
I want that.
I want them to like understand their cues.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, I don't want them to be restricted necessarily, but I want them to be like intelligent.
yeah.
Don't just eat your dinner because I'm telling you to eat dinner even though you're already full from snacking.
Yeah.
Like, eat your dinner because you're hungry and you're sitting down and it's mealtime and you want to fill up so that you're not hungry when you're in bed in 2 hours.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know. To me, that logically makes sense. Maybe to other
I
people it doesn't
admire
make
you.
sense. I don't know.
I admire you. I strive to be you. It's just not.
Get yourself a snack
realistic.
tray of approved snacks.
Yeah. I should.
Even if you have to make it daily and be like, okay, here's your 2 snacks for the day. Here's your 2 snacks for the day. Here's your 2 snacks for the day. Eat them whenever you want, but once it's gone, it's gone.
Ooh. So, but
Isn't
we-
that how the
but
real
we-
world works? Don't we have to like police our body?
So, but
Yeah.
we do have boys, and boys'
Yeah.
bodies are different from women's.
Yeah.
And I asked Nick, because Nick was like, you know, when are you going to start cooking like 2 casserole dishes? Because that's going to happen pretty soon. And I'm like, what are you
Your
talking
kids
about?
they never eat. Cutter is like the non-eaterist eater ever.
He eats all
Does he? Whenever I see him at mealtime, he's like, oh yeah, I had 2 bites. I'm done. I'm like,
snacks. Snacks. He could just eat on crackers and
yeah.
crackers. And Cash, he is such a meat eater. So Nick, you know, he freaks me out. He's like, when are you going to start cooking 2 casserole dishes? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, Hannah, I ate a lot. And Nick was a big boy. When he was a young little, what was he, 8? He's kind of chubby. But, you know, as they get into, you know, teens.
Growth spurts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nick ate a lot. He had like 5 bowls of cereal, and then he would eat dinner. Like, he was huge.
Well,
Not like
for meals,
fat,
I will
fat.
never say no to having more. If you want seconds, third,
Right.
fourth, I don't
Oh,
care. Eat as much as you
absolutely.
want at meal times.
Yes.
But snacks are a snack. They're not
Yeah.
a meal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I should really cut that off, but the whining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my brothers, they ate so much. Like Jonas he honestly could open up a restaurant if he wanted to, because he just loves food. He can taste that spice. Like, oh, I really taste this. Like, he's got that palate.
Yeah.
So he just loves food. And Nathan, he smoked weed when he was in high school. So he was always eating. He would just pop in a pizza all the time.
Did your mom know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Note we're in Iowa
Yeah.
where it's not legal.
Yeah, but you know, teenagers are
Teenagers,
teenagers.
yeah. Yes.
Teenagers.
but like, oh man, he had the munchies.
Yeah.
But like, I was just so used, and even my friend, she had like her husband and her teenage son. So she was always cooking like just 3 times the amount of food, because they would just eat it like in a second. So I'm just nervous of like how the boys are gonna grow. Like, oh God, are you just gonna be
You never know. You could
just
get an ear
eating
like
all
Calvin.
the time?
You could get Calvin.
What does
His
Calvin
children.
do?
He eats like 1 meal a day, and he has a few snacks.
Craig. Same. His snack is
It's so annoying. Well, his snacks are like a whole bag of chips.
Copenhagen
and a
wintergreen
whole-
long cut, though.
What's that?
Chew.
Oh. Calvin's snacks are like a whole bag of chips, a whole bag of candy.
Nerds.
Yeah.
Those
the
nerds
cluster,
clusters.
Nerds clusters, a whole bag of
Those
candy.
are so good. Those are like spreading like wildfire.
Yeah.
You introduced
They're
me to
quite
those,
good.
Sarah. Thank you
quite
so
good.
much. You changed
Well,
my life.
thank Calvin because he left them in the car for us to snack on the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Nick could eat all day.
Yeah. Calvin's not like that. He can eat.
Do you think
but
it's just different
He
people?
chooses not to
Do
frequently.
you think it's just people are different and some
Yes.
people just graze all day or grazers and some people are just meal eaters? Because my kids just, they don't eat their food when I serve it to them. They don't eat supper unless it's like a corn dog, popcorn chicken,
yeah.
French fries. You know
That's
what I mean?
kind of why I started doing what I was doing is because maybe they weren't eating. And then I'm like, well, sorry, that's dinner. If you're not going to eat, then you're going to be hungry. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to get some
And see, I
feedback for that too. But
That's okay.
I'm
We
not
got hot
gonna-
takes on motherhood. That's what
Yeah.
this
I'm not
episode's going to be.
make multiple meals unless it's something that I know they specifically won't eat and I really like. Then maybe I'll be like, okay, I'm making this. I'll make you like a little extra something else because I really like this.
Yeah.
See, I
But-
grew up, what my mom made is what I ate.
Yep.
And
Same.
when Nathan, when he was a little shithead, he was like, I don't want to eat that. So he would just make his own food. He got to the point where he just, pizza, mac and cheese, hot dogs.
Yep.
So unhealthy though.
Unhealthy.
I want my kids to be healthy.
But he, before we took over, he was like a great athlete for cross country. He won like all these awards for most valuable player.
Most valuable player.
Yeah. For,
Okay.
For
I was thinking
cross-country.
of what's that when you get participation? That's what I was thinking of.
He got so
Sorry.
Oh,
many participation trophies.
No.
Okay, I got it.
I feel
That just
bad.
mixed that up in my mind.
I feel bad because I didn't care about his cross country. And maybe if I like cared, maybe he would have continued with it. But
Well, and then looking back, it's like, what an accomplishment, really.
it really,
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
yeah.
I'm very thankful that me and my sister had the same hobbies growing up because we appreciated each other's successes.
Yes.
So
I
yeah.
wish I would have been like that, but
it's hard.
it is what it is.
I always prayed like, oh, my kids, please don't be involved in sports because they're so boring. But now I'm like,
Well,
do something.
So no, with the sports thing, kind of going back. See, I didn't do like pee wee basketball or I didn't know anything about basketball. So I think when I got into middle school, my mom's like, "Oh, here's a basketball camp." She threw me in there. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yep.
And all these girls who did basketball when they were younger, like they were favorited from the coaches. They were favorited from the high school players. Like,
Yes.
everybody favorited them, and I was just like, no one, like, no, you don't know shit. I'm not bothering with you.
I worry about that too with these kids' sports and the younger and younger and younger they're starting these sports is that like by the time it would naturally occur for them to like 5th, 6th grade, maybe
Be
even
interested
7th,
in
8th
stuff.
grade to be like, oh, I would like to try this. It's already too late.
Because there are those kids that have been
everyone
doing
else
it
has
since-
already
yeah.
been conditioned
Yes.
from the time they could walk to tackle
They know the
someone for
rules.
football.
They know the
Oh, yeah.
everything, and the coaches know them. The older players, like, oh, look at this kid. He's amazing.
And
Absolutely.
I felt the same way. I felt so left out because by the
Yes.
time it was time for me to naturally, again, basketball, try basketball in 7th and 8th grade, these girls had already been doing it for years. And I'm like, I don't even know how to dribble and shoot. Like, I missed, it's like there's this guidebook, this secret language that everybody else knows that I don't
And they can
speak.
tell. They can tell, like,
Yes.
oh, you obviously play basketball because you know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, and then you know how terrible 7th grade girls are. They
Oh,
just
yeah.
totally make fun of you for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like, I remember one time I was doing my makeup before a basketball game, and someone came up to me like, "We don't do our makeup for basketball. If you want to look pretty, you take volleyball." And I'm like,
okay.
and I'm like, where was this rule? I had no idea.
Cares?
Like, okay,
Kids
so
are
I gotta look like a
freaks.
troll for basketball, I guess.
What the heck? Kids are freaks.
The worst one that I heard was this girl. It's a terrible situation, but she was in horseback riding or
Oh
something.
boy.
And
Equestrians are full of drama.
she got made fun of her jeans. They're like, those aren't country, or her boots or her jeans, they weren't country enough. So they bullied her out of the sport.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. And horseback riding is so expensive. I would be
No, it's-
devastated.
It's not like, fancy horseback riding
Oh.
that,
Yeah.
Richie Richies do. It's like country, like, what is it, riding or something, but like
Oh, like the barrel racing.
something like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, they bullied her because of her, she didn't look country enough. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me?
That's so stupid.
It is.
I'm so thankful that we have uniforms at our school.
I mean,
Yes.
it could, start with their clothes, but then like, oh, kids don't wear makeup during basketball or something
Yeah.
like, or like, hey, for guys, they would either like dye their hair black because they wanted to look uniform with the team, or they'd shave their heads or get mullets.
Oh, we did the swim team thing. Our swim team always did a bleach
Yeah.
every season.
And if you don't do it, like you're like not part of the team.
yeah.
So like there's
I would not be part of the team. I'm not bleaching my hair.
Yeah,
Right.
Oh my
but I mean,
gosh.
boys just like they would shave it afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, especially with
Yeah.
swims, they'd wear the caps and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so who
Yeah.
cared? But
But yeah, if you don't
Yeah.
like participate with the team, like forget about you then.
yeah, no, I was a solo sport kind of gal.
Yeah.
Well, except for bowling, that was a team effort, but we didn't do any like weird stuff.
I have one more sentiment I wanted to share along the lines of like,
Team.
no, along the lines of like being behind.
Ooh,
like,
okay,
Yeah.
you
okay.
know what I mean?
Sure,
like joining the basketball team late or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like there's like things in life that people are super into, like hobbies, like camping.
Oh my gosh.
Like if you
Camping.
didn't do that growing up as a kid, like I don't know how to go camping. Do you know what I mean?
The backyard is as far as I go, baby.
Yes. Like horseback riding or like having horses. Like if you don't just like wake up one day as an adult and be like, you know
I wanna
what?
ride a horse.
I've always wanted horses. I think I'll do that. You know what I mean? It's like you grew up with it. I feel like there's a lot of things in life that I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah. that like you just are behind if you don't grow up
Yeah.
with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
That's how I felt with sports. Like people be like, "Oh, what's your favorite sport team?" I don't know. My parents don't watch it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we watched gymnastics growing up and golf because my dad was a gymnast and he played golf. But those were boring. We watched figure skating.
Oh,
did
we
watch
watched
that,
figure
too.
skating
We
too.
always watched the Olympics and like all of the gymnastics and figure skating.
I was so weird as a kid about figure skating because somehow I just loved the way the women's dress,
Little skirts.
yeah, the little skirt would like fling up a little
Yeah,
bit,
it's
especially on her
beautiful.
butt. Like she'd be like, doing that back move,
Yeah.
and her butt would be up. So as a kid with roller skates, I would wear my skirt. And I would try to do.
Oh god.
Try to get the wind to just Marilyn Monroe you quite right.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
And I did roller skating in my kitchen. My parents.
In your kitchen?
Oh, you probably lived on gravel roads, didn't you?
Yes.
It probably wasn't a lot.
Gravel sucked as a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have to go find a parking lot.
No, if my dad took down a silo, there would be like that nice cement patch. We would
Yes.
do
Or when
that.
they were building a bin at the
Yes.
farm, like you'd have like this tiny circle that you could ride your bike round and 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 round.
Yes, you know. A sad life.
Well, it is what it is.
New cement.
Learning to
must
ride your bike on
ride.
gravel is really it's tough out here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, gravel sucked because I had a dog who would chase cars. So when I would ride my bike on the road and a car came by, I would have to, he's ran in front of me so many times that I would just like completely biff it.
Yep.
Yeah. That farm life,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Yeah. So it was just kind of a different transition of conversation from
I know.
daycare and then behaved children to
Like
Travel
kids'
sports.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How did that even come up? I don't remember now.
Calissa brought it up because we were talking about structure. And
Oh,
she
yeah.
don't have structure.
Baseball.
Baseball. And I'm like, well, if that,
Think about travel sports, how much more intense that would be.
Yeah, we actually in school there's a mom that's in Bronson's grade. She has multiple kids, but one of her kids is in Bronson's grade. And a couple times she was like, yeah, we were at dance all day yesterday.
Yeah.
We didn't go home until like 10:30, 11:30. And I was like, oh my God.
and it's crazy that they do this stuff on Sundays too. And I'm like, Sunday? And some people were bitching. They're like, oh, we've got church. And they don't care. They're like, well,
We'll not be participating in any sports that'll like interfere with.
good luck.
No.
Sometimes in
I
our
say no.
area, the Wednesday nights are also reserved for church
us
too.
too.
They usually don't.
Usually when there's like high, I don't want to say just Christian, but like, spiritual areas, especially like in the country and stuff, they
we're
say no
super
church.
Catholic over in the
Yep.
backwoods. So
Yes. But some of these sports don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They need you there at 7 a.m. on the field.
I don't think we'll ever have we've talked about having adult classes on a Wednesday, but I don't know if we'll ever expand to kids classes on Wednesdays for that purposes.
Right.
So
I feel like kids have so much, with even my mom saw it as a religion teacher. She'd be like, this girl, she was a really great athlete, but she was so tired and so burnt out. And because religion class was in the evening. And my mom's like, yeah, she could barely read. Like she wasn't the best reader. And she was always like trying to pass out in religion class because she was doing this, she was doing this, she was doing this, she was doing this. Like she had all these like.
Yeah, I don't want to be so busy again that like my kids can't function.
Are you going to have, make your kids have jobs in high school?
Yes.
I don't know.
And it's not going to be like
I think it depends.
Well, I was just a lifeguard in high school. So when I wanted to get
So
like
just
a
summers.
quote unquote real job, they're like, well, you don't have any register experience. You don't have any stocking experience. And I'm like, well, I'm a pretty fast learner.
Yeah. Yeah. I could save your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Give you CPR mouth to mouth
No
until you're
shit.
alive again.
But no, they didn't take a chance on me. So I'm like, well, fuck it then.
Take a chance on me.
No, no one did.
I was thinking about that driving my little loaner car over here this morning. I was thinking about like our kids buying a first car or whatever.
They're getting the $100 car.
Yeah, the cheapest possible.
And see,
I want them to appreciate.
I had to work. Like that was like a requirement to.
So did
I
Nick.
had to pay for my insurance. I had to pay for my car. I had to pay for everything. I was pretty much on my own from the time I was 16. And I don't want to say that because my mom's gonna listen and be like, "No, you weren't." But
In terms of her wanting you to pay for your own things and get a taste of reality, I think that.
yes. But I took it to the extreme. I mean, I would pick up hours all the time to the point that I do think I could have done better in school had I not worked so much. I'd go straight from school to the nursing home and work until 8, 9 o'clock at night.
But did you think that the medical field was always going to be like a part of you?
Yes.
Okay.
So I
So
feel like that
it
fueled your
benefited
future
you.
a little bit
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Benefited your future.
Yeah.
Where I had a cousin, she worked all the time. And I felt like her social like game out, high school stuff, like she was never there because she just wanted to work. I don't know. But
I honestly can't remember if I got my first job in high school or if it was after high school. I think it was in high school.
I had one in junior high. I was
pretty
12
sure.
years old. I was bussing tables at
Isn't that
for
illegal?
a wedding. Yes, very illegal. Cash under the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd go and clean tables off at the wedding event center.
Yep. See, and I'm jealous of Nick because he had to work to pay for stuff. So, but he knows how to do everything an adult should know how to do.
Right.
His own taxes, his everything.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
I'm-
I was filing taxes as like a 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah, see? And I didn't have that. My parents didn't push me to have a job. I just kind of wanted a job. And I was like, oh, lifeguard seems pretty easy. So I did that. But then when Nick and I got older, I was like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And Nick's like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't know how to file taxes? And I'm like, no.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't know how to file. My mom filed all of our taxes and stuff,
And so,
she
like,
did all of our stuff.
My mom did
I
everything.
did have a job.
For me, everything. And then the minute I got out of her house, she's like, oh, figure it out.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no, I literally don't know what I'm doing.
yeah.
So, those memes like, hey, Mom, can you call the doctor for me and tell
Yes.
him
What's my allergy?
I still will call or text my mom sometimes to be like, which form was it again? Do I need for this certain thing?
Yeah.
How do I do this? And she's like, she's really good about helping me. But
Yes, and they are. But then Nick's over here like, are you kidding me, Hannah? You should know. And I'm like, damn, I really should know. So, so that's where I'm kind of like, okay, I want my kids to have a high school, like, fun life. But then I also want them to know hard work, too. So I'd love for them to start off as like a dishwasher and then work their way up.
Yeah.
And see how that happens. Because I was a dishwasher.
Yep.
And I feel like you just truly appreciate where you're at.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember just because I had so many jobs. I worked at the golf course on Sundays for after brunch, and I was a dishwasher. And I'd come home just like
Ew.
ran ragged. I mean, dishwashing is a hard job, and you're steamy and you're soaked.
Oh, I
and
love
you're
the
just
steam because
like,
it was like, oh, it's on my
Facial.
skin. And I had great skin when I was a dishwasher.
yeah.
But yeah, I was a dishwasher. Nick, he was at Pizza Ranch cooking chicken. He was like covered in flour. He was dirty. So I'm like, yeah, I want my kids to have a dirty job.
Yep.
I worked at Pita Pit, and man, I loved some free pitas.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I did work, but I mainly used my money to like pay for. My mom paid for our cars and our insurance, and she gave us $100 in our account every month. But
See, that's not.
I wanted to buy a lot of stuff, and I never wanted to ask my mom because she would always tell me no. So once I got a job, I was like, I'm going to spend all my money on my own stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
So I was paying for a lot of my own stuff, like, for a long, long time.
Well, yeah, it makes you appreciate the money
Yeah.
and the value. And I just, Nick has been awful. He'll just buy the kids whatever. And so Cutter just like thinks, oh, just go to the store and get that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, Cutter.
Yeah. Calvin, too. We'll just
So-
like buy the kids things. I'm like,
It's like teaching him money. Like,
Yes.
nope, daddy needs to work so he can pay for your stuff and pay for the food on the table to a roof over our head, all that, yada, yada, yada.
we talk about that a lot already because Calvin works, and frequently they're like, oh, where's dad? Why isn't dad here? I'm like, well, daddy has to work.
Well,
so
do you
that
like
we
your
can-"
house?
And like, daddy works so that I can be home with you and you don't have to go be with people that you don't know all day, every day. And,
Yeah. They'll never appreciate it till they're like,
An adult,
way
yeah.
older. Like, oh, damn.
And
Yeah.
I've heard, this is interesting. I heard, maybe we talked about this already. I can't remember. That if your mom was a stay-at-home mom, you're more likely to work. And if your mom was a working mom, you're more likely to stay home.
That's so interesting because I am a working mom and my mom was a stay-at-home mom.
My mom was a working mom, and I stay at home.
Yep.
And it was important to me specifically because she was gone all the time.
My mom was doing the paperwork for the farm. She did the paperwork for the farm, but also worked on the farm. So she was home, but sometimes she wasn't present. So like, we had to make our own foods, get our own whatever.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah.
Especially after my dad died. Then it was like, mom was never home. No one else was home. So we were doing our own thing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I like that. I like that you brought that up. That's a interesting point.
Yeah, I'm curious what other people...
Yeah. Sound off in
happening.
the Instagram.
Did not happen for my sister. She works and my mom worked. So,
Yep.
there's, who knows, but
Yeah.
heard that it's more common.
I'd like to hear what someone has to.
Yeah, if you get
Say
at this
about
point in
that.
the episode, leave us a comment on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let us
Don't
know what your mom
forget.
did. Let us know what you do.
Yep, there you go. We didn't introduce ourselves today, by the way. I'm Sarah.
I'm Calissa.
I'm Hannah.
This is 30 Crying and Trying.
Welcome.
And
we have,
goodbye, possibly.
yes,
I don't know.
we have thoughtful conversations in our Instagram comments every Friday.
Or ducks.
Or ducks. We have ducks in our Instagram comments as
I
well.
want a peach.
We're
Okay.
gonna do a peach.
Yeah.
If you got to this far, leave us a peach.
It's a peach.
A nice little peach.
Anyway, toodaloo.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.